I've always really loved science fiction art from pulp magazines and book covers, ranging from the 1920s to the 1960s. Like in this book here, Worlds of Tomorrow, which you can still get, probably a used copy. But this is a hardbound book full of those kinds of illustrations of rockets and alien worlds and aliens and outer space. And I just always loved these types of illustrations. I don't know why. Maybe it's the colors, the bold colors. Maybe it's just the design themselves, the symmetry. Maybe it's the innocence, or even maybe the optimism of some of it. And of course, you got monsters and robots, so, who can say no to that, right? But this is a very cool book. And the reason I'm showing you this is because these kinds of illustrations are related to today's film. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet, full of all the stuff that I love. And today, a film in which these types of illustrations come alive. Let's check it out. Today's film is Flight to Mars from 1951, 72 minutes long, in color, actually in what they call Cinecolor. And this is basically about the first manned flight to Mars and what happens when they encounter the Martians there. The director is somebody I really never heard of. I looked up his filmography. It's nothing that most people have heard of, I don't think. The cast, same idea, basically. The one name I did recognize is Cameron Mitchell, and he's been in a lot of stuff. I think I probably mostly know him from television shows. And then there was a voice I recognized, and I thought, I know that voice, one of the astronauts. And sure enough, he is in a film I'm a little obsessed with, Double Indemnity. He plays Edward G. Robinson's boss in the insurance office in Double Indemnity with that very distinctive voice he has. The visual effects, like I said, are similar, as you can see here, to the magazines and book covers of the 1920s through the 1950s science fiction. Now in here, mostly the colors are going to be red and blue and variations thereof. And even the Martian sky is a bright red with nothing else in it. So this is the Cinecolor they talked about, and it's very unusual and it's very cool looking, like it is here. The Martian city is probably the best visual effect in the film, and the only problem is you see it for maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, so blink and you'll miss it. But it's very neat looking. All the Martians have to live underground. They can't live on the surface. So you see cars flying by, and you see monorails and the very futuristic looking buildings and stuff. Well, that's really cool. And then the rockets you see also have this similar kind of 50s or science fiction look to them. These are accomplished through a combination of animation, miniatures, and paintings. Some people think the best effect in this whole film is the actress Marguerite Chapman. Now, she used to be a model, and she went to acting, and she's very tall, very statuesque, if that's not redundant. And she's the daughter of the Martian leader, and she comes on the screen, and she's got this tiny little micro mini skirt with these really long legs and high heels, and it's like it's impossible not to notice her. So some people, that's the thing they remember most from this film, is this woman in this outfit. And it's not a very practical outfit, but that's what she's wearing. And when she sits down, especially if you're a guy, you're wondering, well, how is she going to sit down in this thing? The astronauts on the spaceship going to Mars are all men except for one woman. And when she gets to Mars, the first thing she wants to know is, where's your kitchen? And so they show her the kitchen, and they don't even have a kitchen. They just say all the food comes automatically. You just ask for it, and it comes out of this door. She goes, I could certainly get used to Mars. So even though it takes place in the future, you still have a housewife, stereotypical housewife from the 50s as a character in this film. The sets themselves apparently were left over from other films. They just used them. The costumes were left over some other things, maybe cereals like Flash Gordon cereals, and they just reused the costumes. So this is a very, very low budget affair. They shot it in 5 days. Some people say 11 days, whatever it was. It was not many days at all. You see the inside of the rocket, mainly one interior, the inside of the rocket with the American astronauts, and it's very cramped. They're all in this one small space, and the chairs they sit in are like rolling leather desk chairs. They're kind of rolling around in those, and when they take off, they strap themselves into, it looks like cots that are like bunk beds. That's what they strap themselves into. At one point, one of the astronauts is on the ship. He's smoking a pipe. Another guy's smoking a cigarette. So you're not going to get a whole lot of realism in this kind of film. What's interesting is the Martians, a little bit of a spoiler here, not much. They have an ulterior motive. Even though they're being nice to the Americans, they say that their planet is dying. They don't tell the Americans this because they have this substance called corium. And without corium, they can't exist. Their plan is to take over the American rocket technology and then fly to Mars and fly to Earth and repopulate Earth with their Martian population. Why they don't already have that technology, since they're so advanced anyways, remains a mystery. But I started thinking about the whole idea of having a substance that you need, that's so important to you need to exist. Kind of reminded me of Avatar with that one substance. I think they called it unobtainium or something like that. Kind of a dumb name that everybody wanted. Or think of Dune, like with the spice. Or I think even Star Trek, the series, had some sort of element that everybody needed. So I was wondering if maybe Flight to Mars was the first science fiction film that used that idea, that there's a substance they need to exist and they're running out of. Now, as far as the Martians go, don't expect a whole lot. When the American astronauts encounter them on the surface of Mars, the Martians are wearing sort of these pastel-colored spacesuits. They're kind of puffy, and each Martian has a different color. And then they have these helmets on with a round opening for their face to look out of, but there's no face shield. There's nothing covering their face, so I don't even know why they're wearing those helmets. The American astronauts are wearing oxygen masks, so that really doesn't make sense. You're also not going to see any cool aliens or even any robots or anything like that. Now, apparently this is the third space voyage movie made in the 1950s, and it does have some of the themes of that Cold War, like some of those films do, with the Martians plotting to take over Earth, and even though they look like us, they are going to take over. This is nowhere near as great as some of those classic 50s science fiction films like Forbidden Planet or Invaders from Mars or War of the Worlds. It's very talky, lots of exposition. The talk and the dialogue is mainly about, strategizing what each group is going to do, philosophizing about the stars and what's out there in space. And there's also this really lame love triangle going on the American spaceship. So, this is really for diehards. If you're a diehard 1950s science fiction freak, you're going to want to get this. I'm a fan. I wouldn't call myself a diehard. I'm glad I have it, but I'm only going to give this one 2.5 rockets out of 5. So, what's on this disc? This is a film detective disc. I've talked about that label before. The picture quality is good. It's got that crazy Cinecolor, very bold, bright colors, sometimes a little too much. And sometimes some of the scenes you'll see the colors kind of fading in and out a little bit. The audio seems fine. It's got that 4:3 aspect ratio, so it's a square picture you're going to get. It has a booklet, which is about 12 pages long. Very nice. It's mostly text, and it talks about Mars in the movies and the history of Mars being used in movies. You're also going to get a audio commentary, which I did not listen to. And there's 2 short documentaries. They run about 10 to 15 minutes each. One's on Walter Mirisch, the film producer, who started with low-budget films like this and then became quite well known and worked on some very high-profile films. And then there's another one about the space race and how it's portrayed in films. So where can you see Flight to Mars? Apparently it's on YouTube right now. I don't know for free. I don't know what the quality is of that, but you can see it on there. I don't think your library would have it. You can always buy it. I got this on sale when MVD happened to have a sale, and I think I paid probably less than $15 for that, which I think is a fair price. So you might want to wait for a sale. Otherwise, it goes for about 20 bucks or so. So, you know, you want to get it because you're a fan, you know, support the label, I say go for it. All right. Hope you liked Flight to Mars. Share, you know, a comment, maybe one of your favorite 50s science fiction films down below. Leave a thumbs up if you'd like to. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.